you are muted actually. Okay, no problem. Fine. Paras, we can begin the session. Over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon to everyone present here. I welcome the man of the hour, the speaker, Mr. Rajiv Pandey. I also extend my thanks to our UBA core team for making this possible. Mother Teresa once said that it's not about how much we give, it's about how much love we put into giving. With that, let me take you through what UBA actually is. Unnat Bharat Abhiyan is a flagship program of the Ministry of Human Resource Development with the intention to enrich rural India. The knowledge base and the resources of premier institute of the country are to be leveraged to bring in transformational change in the rural development progress. It also aims to create a vibrant relationship between the society and the higher educational institute, with the latter providing the knowledge and the technical support to improve the livelihoods in rural areas and to upgrade the capabilities of both the public and the private organizations in the society. UBA is also an initiative of Ministry of Human Resource Development, and sponsoring ministry is Ministry of Education. IIT Delhi is the coordinating institute for the UBA. IIM Sirmaur is a participating institute for the same. To shed some more light on our vision for IIM Sirmaur and the importance of UBA, I invite Devika ma'am. Devika ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Paras. Good afternoon once again, sir, and good afternoon everyone present in the meeting, in this discussion. So I'm very glad that we are able to start our webinar on a very catchy and very trendy and very needful the need topic of this hour, that is catch the rain. So Mr. Rajdeep Pandey is the speaker for today's session. So before we begin a session, let me just introduce you what is UBA actually and what we are doing here at IIM Sirmaur and why we are thinking for this webinar to happen today. So basically UBA stands for Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, and IIM Sirmaur, we became the participating institute in the year of 2019, and we are basically here to see a transformational change in the rural places. So basically, IIM Sirmaur has adopted 5 villages, which are in the vicinity of 10 kilometers. So these are Kunja, Ajoli, Danda Dobri, and Jamniwala. So our purpose is to make people sensitize about various themes, and one of the themes is which is the title of today's webinar, that is water harvesting, water conservation, catch the rain. So we are doing a lot of activities, a lot of webinars, a lot of the acts and the sensitization programs, the awareness programs in these villages, and making these villages also to be a part of our activities, to have this overall development, the rural development of the people, especially if you see the area of organic farming, natural farming, then the sanitation, and the gender roles, and these are certain things on which we people are working. And with that intention, with that aim, with that objective in our minds, today we invited Mr. Rajdeep Pandey to talk about this water conservation, water harvesting, with a very catchy title, Catch the Rain. So that's all about us, and IIM Sirmaur takes the full the credit of doing this under the able guidance of our earlier founder director, Professor Neelu Rometra ji. So that's all about our UBA IIM Sirmaur and about the webinar. Over to you, Carlos. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for this invitation. Now, inviting in front of you Mr. Rajdeep Pandey with 8+ years of experience in environmental consulting. He is also the founder and environmental consultant for Enviraj Consulting Private Limited. Along with the facilitated by many awards, he has also given meaning to posts such as project engineer at Sweep Enviro at IIM Bombay, IIT Bombay, GRF at NIT Surat as well. A very warm welcome to you, Rajiv sir. Please enlighten us with today's agenda and importance of water conservation. Also, please explain more about the catchphrase, that is catch the rain. Over to you, Rajiv sir.
Thank you, Paras, for the kind introduction. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank you, Dr. Devika ma'am, for inviting me for this webinar. So, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, it
Yes,
is
sir.
visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Fine. So, we will be starting with the. So today's agenda, we will be discussing four things. First, we will be starting with the catch the rain introduction. What is it about? Uh, this campaign is launched by Government of India recently, so we will discuss a bit about it. Then we will be discussing the need for rainwater harvesting, why it is much required now. And then we will be discussing design guidelines for the rooftop rainwater harvesting. And further, I will be discussing the city-wide implementation plan that we have made for the Nagpur Smart City. That is a part of our recent project. So, starting with the case diagram that is launched by National Water Mission under the Ministry of Jal Shakti. So the key objective of this program is to nudge all the stakeholders to create rainwater harvesting structure across all the states in India. So the key activities under this initiative will be try to conserve the water harvesting structure, removal of encroachment and resilting of tanks to increase their capacity, development of rain center to assist with the technical guidance, and creating public awareness among the youngsters and have their active participation in the project. So here comes the very first question. Why harvest rainwater? So to answer this question, I want to present some data. Uh, so here you can see India's water resources data. So in India, annual precipitation is around 4,000 billion cubic meter, out of which 75% rains occurs during the monsoon season, and out of which we only have 1,869 BCM of water to flows to our rivers. And this old water is not usable, as some of the water is not utilized because of the remote locations, remoteness of the location. So we have only 1,123 BCM of water that is usable. Out of which the surface water is around 690 BCM and the rechargeable groundwater is 433 BCM. So coming to the second part of the table, it is about the water demand. So the estimated water demand in India in to 2050 will be around 1450 BCM. So that gives us 327 BCM of water deficit. So India will be water deficit country in 2050 if we successfully implement the river interlinking projects that is already undertaken by Government of India, then we can offset 200 BCM, but still we will be water deficit by 127 BCM even in 2050. So I will be presenting the another data that is per capita water availability in India. So in 2001, the per capita water availability in India was 1816, and in 2011 it was 1545, and 2021 it was recent it was 1486. So when the water per capita water availability falls below 1700, that condition is called water stress condition. So when this condition arrives, we can see the water scarcity, water crisis across the various parts of the country that is already happening. So India is already under the water stress condition. And when this value falls below 1,000, in that condition, we can also see the economic impact of water in our Indian economy, in our country's economy. So here is the report from the NITI Aayog, which tells us that groundwater to be finished by 2020 in 21 major cities. And another reports from the WRI also state that 54% of India faces high to extremely high water stress. So these research are not only the only the paper research. This is already happening on the ground. So these are the article cutouts from the last month, and you can see these news are published every month. There is water scarcity situation in various parts of country, and article is published, dozens of articles are published every month. So coming to the another part of the problem, that is the urban flooding. So water scarcity is a one problem, and urban flooding is the another problem that is also due to the mismanagement of water. So I will try to highlight the very important case of Chennai flood that we have seen in 2021. And in 2015, also there was flood in Chennai. So many of the environmental activists and climate change activists relate every event to the climate change. And I am a big advocate of climate change, but believe me, this event is not only because of the climate change. Uh, Here is the reason I will explain. So here, this is the topography and build-up expansion map of Shanghai. So you can see this these dots, orange, red, and yellow. So you can see that the flood-prone area that lies in a low line close to the wetlands in Chennai. So the expansion of the city in this area is so quickly. So most of the land in the low line area is enclosed. So this is the major reason why flood is taking place in Chennai. There is another section where you can see the difference between these two areas. First, you can see in 1990s, near the water was no enclosure. And in 2018, you can see most of the water is enclosed. So water has nowhere to go. So this is the one reason that flood was flood took place in January 2022. So clearly, it is not only to climate change; it is a kind of natural disaster. Coming to the what causes the water scarcity, so there are multiple reasons for water scarcity. First will be the consumption. So talking about the water change, uh, we are not utilizing the water as we should be when compared to the other developed countries. Our water consumption is around 30%. That is other developed nation have this value to 50 to 60%. So we are going to not consuming. Other reason is the water pollution. So we are ranked 120 out of 120 when come to the water pollution index. Around 70% of the water is already polluted. Third is the rising population. As we all know, we are one bigger population of India. And India has about 80% of world population, but we only have 4% of the resources. And the last, but not the least, climate change. So climate change also impacts the water cycle by influencing the weather patterns and resulting in also this is also one cause for the water scarcity. So coming to the ways to conserve water. So like we are principal in the investment, I presented we are principal in the water conservation sector. So the first one is the reduce, second is reduce, third is recharge. So reduce the flow. So as per the many reports, many technical studies, then in the macro city, for example, 40% of the water lost during the supply in the leakages. So we need to fix these leakages about the water filtering and in every sector we adopt the micro irrigation also reduce the consumption. Coming to the environment, sewage is developed in the municipality and like the filtered so this water can be utilized for the farming activities. In industry, adoption of dual liquid discharge can be also useful. Recharge groundwater can be implemented to the harvesting and application recharge for the augmentation of water groundwater resources. So here we will be only discussing the third, that is rainwater harvesting. So we will be starting with the basics of rainwater harvesting. So here is a typical rooftop rainwater harvesting structure. So ideally, the process what we conduct was on the roof. is first diverted, first diverter, and then it is filtered out through the filter. Then it is stored and reused, and excess amount of water is recharged to the plant. So I believe this both is good. And now we discuss the benefits of the water harvesting. The first benefit of this is it reduces the water demand, it improves the water quality and quantity of groundwater. As we know, rainwater is the base of water until it falls from any surface and get contaminated. So when when it mixes with the groundwater, due to dilution of it, it improves the groundwater quality. And it lowers the water supply cost as it reduces the overall water demand. And it also prevents the flood and also it reduces the soil to the surface runoff, prevention of surface runoff. And here are the components of any rainwater system. The first is the catchment or any survey.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir, but your voice is not very clear.
Hello. Yeah.
Sir, your voice is not.
Now is it clear?
Yes, sir. Yeah, now it's fine. Better.
Okay. So here are the component of rainwater harvesting. Basically, there are four components. The first is the catchment, that is rooftops or any surface. Convenience, that is gutter or drain pipes where the water flows. Third is the filtration system. Fourth is the storage, that can be tanks or the groundwater aquifers. The rainwater harvesting systems are divided into two parts. That is, one is the rooftop rainwater harvesting, that majorly we implement in the urban areas, and so second one is the surface runoff harvesting. So first we will be starting with how to harvest rain. First we will be starting with the rainwater harvesting potential assessment. How we can assess how much rainwater we can harvest from our rooftop. So here is a very simple formula that I have presented on our screen. So we need three parameters. First is the roof area, just what is my roof area. Second is the average rainfall in my locations, and third is the surface runoff coefficient. So in a surface runoff coefficient is also presented on a screen. So for example, if we take example of New Delhi, and roof area is around 100 meters square. So in New Delhi, there is around 700 mm of rain takes place annually. So around 42,000 liter water can be conserved from 100 meters square rooftop. So here is a simple tool that we have developed on our web portal, that below is the link. So you can select your city and enter your roof area, and you can easily get the rainwater harvesting potential of your area or your city. So coming to the sizing of the drain pipes. So drain pipes carry the water to the filtration media. So drain pipe, number of how many drain pipes are required for particular rooftop, that actually depends on the peak rainfall of that particular locality and overall size of the roof. So here is one example. If I have to calculate, if my roof area is around 500 meters square, and I have to select, I want 100 pipe to be installed, and my peak rainfall of my locality is 50 mm. So how many 100 pipe will be required for this rooftop? So this is the table. So first I need to see first I need to see the 50 rainfall there, and we need to see how much drainage area is there under the 100 pipe diameter and the 50 rainfall. So it is around 85.4 square meters. So I need to divide this value by the total roof area. So it gives me number of around 5.85. So we need to round up into the integer. So it gives me 6 pipes. So I need 6 pipes to efficiently drainage this much of rainwater from the 500 square meter of rooftop. So coming to the next component, that is the first flush diverters. So the purpose of This is to divert and capture most contaminated sediment that washes into the pipe from your roof during the initial first millimeters of rain. So going with the thumb rule, first flush should be able to discard at least 50 liter of water per square meter of roof area. So next is the filtration unit. So this is very important. Either we are using the rainwater or we are recharging to the ground. So here is a schematic of the filtration system. So generally the bed depth of the filter media is around 1 to 1.5 meter. The major objective of filter media to remove organic material and the silt content. So the bed multimedia bed can be made of different pebbles, different component like pebbles, gravels, and charcoal for color and odor removal, and coarse sand in a given proportion. So this is the wall-mounted PVC rain filter that is readily available in the market. So this is also fine, but these are only suitable and recommended if roofs are well maintained and clean. So this just goes with the piping system, so easy to install. So yeah. So coming to the storage capacity. So storage capacity, if we harvest in our first goal should be using using the rainwater immediately after treatment, so that reduces the pumping cost. So while designing the storage, we need to calculate the per capita demand per home. So that bed theoretically that is around 165 liters per day per person, but it actually varies house to house. So to calculate this, we need to first identify what is our water storage capacity, tank capacity in our house, and what is the refill frequency, how much, in how many days we refill our tanks. So that will give overall water demand of our house, and when we divide that capacity with the number of members, we will get the per capita demand of our house. So based on that, how much days of storage we need, depending on the water scarcity condition of that city, we can have the storage and we can determine the tank storage capacity. It is recommended to have water storage tank in multiple of 5,000, because generally water tankers comes in the capacity of 5,000 liter. So it is good to have water storage tank in an order of 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and that way. So next is the recharge structure. If rain remain unutilized, unutilized water can be recharged to the groundwater for the further use. So there are two kind of system that can be used for the recharge. The first is the shallow groundwater recharge and deep groundwater recharge. For a shallow recharge, in a shallow recharge, the recharge depth is around 30 meters from the surface level. In a deep, it's below 30 meters. So in our shallow recharge, there are many systems. I have just written off major five. First is recharge bench, recharge pit, wells, recharge shaft, and contour trench. And for deep recharge, recharge to Borewell and recharge to existing Handpump. Sorry. So we will discuss each of them and where they can be used. So in a shallow recharge structure, the first one is the recharge pit. So recharge pit is the simplest form of the recharge structure, where we need to duct tank-like structure that can be constructed by a brick, and this kind of structure is suitable for the surface runoff as well as the rooftop harvesting. But these structure usually have the large area footprint and comes as a low cost. So where the space availability is limited, these structure cannot be implemented. Basically, these can be used in a parks, big campuses, and farmhouses. And recharge pit can be only implemented in the area where there is a clay formation. In a hard rock region, they cannot be implemented. Coming to the trenches, so trenches is similar to the recharge trench, but usually these are constructed, these are suitable for the small houses, playground, parks, and roadside drains. So majorly they are built for the surface runoff, and the major purpose is to solve the water logging issue. So generally, the recharge tank can be size of around 0.5 to 1 meter wide and 1 meter to 1.5 meter deep. So these trenches are usually suitable for the residential and commercial complexes, parks and gardens. Coming to the duckbill recharge, so if there is the duckbill in the locality, whether it is abandoned or whether it is working, this duckbill can also be utilized to recharge groundwater. So the only thing is that we need to install the media filter as we discussed earlier to monitor to ensure the quality of the water that we are recharging. So only the disadvantage of this recharge method is we require the timely cleaning and desilting of this well, and this is a low-cost solution because the major construction cost of the recharge structure is avoided in this kind of system. And coming to the recharge shaft is similar to the duckbill, but it is the artificially created. It is the artificially created, similar to the duckbill. So the diameter of recharge shaft varies from 1.5 to 3 meter, depending on the availability of the water to be recharged. And it is generally constructed in a shallow aquifer in a clay surface, and it should touch the permeable strata like sand. And usually the recharge shaft is backfilled with the boulder and gravel on the both sides. And depth of the recharge shaft varies from the around 10 to 15 meter, and it should be constructed at least 10 to 15 meter away from the building foundation. Coming to the another one, that is the contour trench. So this is basically recommended for the hilly terrain where the surface runoff, where the water doesn't stay at the upstream, and in those regions there is a water scarcity. So here I'm presenting the image below. He's a person that he is doing these trenches in the remote places of Uttarakhand. He is also known as the riverman of Uttarakhand. I have met him last year, and he is constructing these kind of trenches to revive the Shipra River in Nainital. So these trenches just store water in them, and slowly they recharge the groundwater. So coming to the deep recharge structure. So in deep recharge structure, around the city, there are abandoned hand pump or a working hand pump that can be also utilized for the groundwater recharge. So generally, while recharging the groundwater, we should make sure that small buildings that are having roof area less than 300 square meter can be used for this kind of this can be used for recharging heat pumps. So the only thing is that we need to again construct the filter in and around of this heat pump to ensure the water quality of recharge water. Coming to the next one is the Borewell. So Borewell, this is the method that is majorly adopted in the urban areas. So deep Borewell can be used for the as a recharge structure. So this technology is basically adopted where land availability is very limited, and when aquifer is very deep, or there is the rock formation is observed. So again, the system is very simple and it's similar to other. There is one filtration media, and after filtration, the water flows to the ground bore. So here are some do's and don'ts that we need to take care while implementing and while managing the groundwater structure, the groundwater recharge structure. The first thing is the roof should be well maintained and it should be free from any kind of rust. It should not be painted with any kind of chemicals or toxic substances. And terraces should not be used for either the human or the pets. Do not use the polluted water for the recharge groundwater, and it is important to clean media filter in every season, before and after every monsoon season. So now I will be going through the city-wide action plan for artificial recharge that we have submitted to the NACO Smart City. So I will be describing this project. When it comes to city-wide implementation of the recharge project, how we can move forward. So while after getting this project, we started with the potential recharge zone mapping of the Nagpur city. So using the GIS techniques, we use several hydrogeological parameters including drainage density, geology, land use and land cover data. So we have prepared this recharge potential zone map for the Nagpur city. So you can see different color describe the potential recharge potential across the city. So after that, after developing this map, we have done the Prabhat wise. That is Prabhat is like ward system in Nagpur. So we have done a Prabhat wise field survey, perception survey, perception survey to understand the groundwater level trends. So how much groundwater, how do you feel, Abhiyan citizen, what are the groundwater trends in last decade? What's your perception regarding that? So based on the citizen perception, we have characterized the different prabhats into the stable and declining zones. Next, we have done the water quality assessment of the groundwater in various prabhats, and we have also so in a water quality assessment we have measured the TDS and conductivity levels of groundwater and the surface corporation water. So one thing to be noted here is the TDS of the groundwater is low. That means the water that there is a deep water table. So that is a clear indication the petrol rate is high in that region. So after this, we have prioritized the product based on the ranking and weightage distribution. So we have provided different weightage for to the different parameters. One is the groundwater TDS level, groundwater level, and groundwater level trends. So groundwater level I have not mentioned here. We have also measured groundwater level in each product physically. So that is also taken into account. So based on this prioritization, we have prioritized Prabhats accordingly. And after prioritization of Prabhat, on the recommendation of the Nagpur Municipal Corporation, we have shortlisted 30 public buildings for the pilot. So our shortlisting criteria includes first, it should be NMC owned building, should be public building owned by the Nagpur Municipal Corporation. The roof condition should be good. There should be enough space available for the recharge structure. Water supply or demand should be matched there. And there should be low contamination risk present near to the that's like sewage network. So after once the shortlisting is done, we have conducted the micro-catchment studies there. So we started with the geophysical survey. So objective to conduct the geophysical survey was to understand the strata and to identify the fracture zone. Wherever there is a fracture zone, there is a good recharge zone. So next, we have conducted the Borewell recharge test. The objective of recharge test is to estimate the recharge capacity of the Borewell. So in this test, what we did, we filled the Borewell up to top of the casing. We have first measured the static water level and then we have filled the Borewell up to the top of the casing. Then we have monitored the water level with time. And this data is plotted in a time series graph. And as per the guidelines of the CGWA, we have made this Excel tool to identify whether the borewell can be used for the recharge or not. Basically, every borewell should reach their static water level within 30 minutes. If they are failed to do that, then borewell should be avoided for the recharge. So after these scientific inputs, we have selected the borewell recharge structure in the pilot site. So the reason for this structure selection is the Nagpur itself lies in the heart of Thailand. So there is a hard rock strata everywhere. So shallow recharge systems are not actually possible there. And in the school area, there is limited space availability. So this is the only viable option. And we have also identified the fractured zone. So that is also a good point. And the Borewell, some Borewell have shown good recharge potential. So these are the factors we have done with the Borewell recharge system there. So also we have constructed the trench to demonstrate the municipality that it can prevent the surface runoff and also prevent the water loss in the premises. So that is also constructed in some schools. So later before implementing the project, we did the cost benefit analysis because this is the very important factor if we implement any recharge project on a wider scale. So the cost incurred during the project is first is the construction cost of the recharge structure, and the second is the O&M cost that includes the consultancy services and then O&M annual maintenance services. So after this, after that, we talk about the benefits. So what benefit the municipality will receive from construction of this structure? The first is the saving on water treatment and supply and distribution. So if the water table rises and water is readily available in the locality, so overall savings on water will be there for municipality. And the second is the savings on the water sewage treatment. So when this water is not harvested, this water generally flows in a sewage network and increase the load of the sewage treatment plant. So it also provides service on a sewage treatment. The third is the carbon credit earnings. So if the energy is conserved in the water supply network in our sewage treatment plants, so carbon credit can be earned and can be monetized in the carbon market. So overall, if we calculate the cost benefit ratio that come up and that comes greater than 1, so that means the project is viable. So after doing the cost benefit analysis, we have implemented the project on the schools. So these are the some steps. So next we have frame the monitoring mechanism for them. So how the monitoring of this infrastructure can be done. So that is divided into part. First is the water level monitoring. So generally observation well should be made near to the recharge structure to monitor the effectiveness of the recharge structure. So they should be built adjacent to the recharge facility, but at the sufficient distance from the recharge facility to observe composite effect. So generally, it is suggested that observation well should be built around 3 meter to 5 meter from the recharge structure. And coming to the water quality monitoring, so water quality is very important to monitor when it comes to when we are implementing this project where groundwater is already contaminated. So we have recommended the monitoring of the water conductivity, which will be helpful in assessing the performance of recharge structure. Other parameters can also be used like pyrotechnic, pH and hydrate, and or any other component of concern that is there in that locality where the water quality is already deteriorated. Third, we have also insisted that periodic monitoring of groundwater during the pre-monsoon and post-monsoon season. That would be a good practice in order to keep eye on the water quality parameter and also the effectiveness of the online monitoring system. So now next is the impact assessment. How we can assess the impact of the project in indirect ways. So there are a few indicators like if arresting the first one is the arresting of declining water level. If in any place the water level trends are stable and upwards, that means our recharge structure are creating a positive impact in the locality. Wells are providing water in a linear one. That is a second indication. That is also an indication. Longer duration of pumping or increased number of pumping days. Green vegetation cover may increase in a zone due to increase in soil moisture in that locality. And quality of water may also improve due to the dilution of it. As we have already discussed that rainwater is low in TDS. So due to dilution effect, the TDS of the groundwater may decrease. So lastly, here is a short video I want to play. We have implemented this pilot project, and probably this is the first IoT-based rainwater harvesting project in India that we have implemented for our smart city. Okay, so that is it from my end, and we can have more of discussion on this topic if there are any questions we can discuss.
So, if anybody has any kind of question, they can just put up the questions to Paras and in the chat box, and then we can take up the question. Paras and Mukta, they can say the question from the audience side, if at all they get any question.
Yes, ma'am. Raji sir, may I ask one question?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. So I want to know what is the outcome and experience of your role as junior research fellow at NIT Surat? I'm asking this question as I've also done my BTech from there only. And could you also
Okay.
please name the faculty under whom you perform this research?
Yeah, so actually, by profession, by degree, I am a chemical engineer, and this was my first job that I have joined. So while joining this job, I really liking the work I do in a sector of water and wastewater, but the only thing I didn't like that I want to implement what I learned. I want to implement that on ground. Everything, my guide was a great mentor for me, and under his guidance I learned a lot. So my experience was overall experience was great, but only thing I missed there was I want to implement what I have learned there. So that is why my tenure in NIT Surat was for 3 years, JRF then SRF, but I quit in between because I want to implement what I learned on the ground. So yeah.
Yes, sir. Also the name of the faculty under whom you perform this, you can share.
Yes, so I was under Dr. Mansoor Ahmed. So I have worked under him. Yeah, so एक और थे वहाँ पर हमारे गाइड जो कि डॉक्टर केडी यादव, वो उनके अंडर भी हम काफी कुछ सीखा हुआ है. एंड अदर वन इज डॉक्टर क्रिश्चियन, वो भी थे.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Also, like in chemical, there's Dr. Arvind Mungre as well, who's also working on this rainwater health.
Okay, so in which year you have graduated from NIT?
Sorry, I am from the batch of 2019.
2019.
Like I'm chemical department only. I thought
Okay.
you are working in the chemical department. I think you were in the mechanical department.
No, I was in a civil engineering.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you for this.
So we have one more question. Please enlighten us more about the fish kill incident at Bhima River and the whole outcome for the same.
Okay, so what it was the year of around it was a year of 2016. So we got there was one incident happened in Bhima River near to Solapur district. So, in a particular location of that river, there are several fish are actually killed. And from that location itself, the water pumping station was there, and the water is pumped throughout the city for the water distribution. So it became a very big public issue at that time. So the district collector DM of Solapur want investigation from the technical person that should be from IIT Bombay, and that should be from MPCB, main office of Maharashtra Pollution Control Board. So under the Professor Dr. Anil Dixit, he sent me there to investigate the matters. So under his guidance, I went to the site, and we have did site visit there, and there are few observations that I can tell. So near to the bank of the river, there was the banana cultivation was there. So there was one possibility that fertilizer runoff can happen there. So that was one possibility. The other thing is that we have also identified some broken sewer line there. So sewage can also be one possible reason that water can be contaminated due to sewage. The third reason was there was some sugar industries on the upstream side. So that can also be the possible cause. Some contaminant might have released from there and come to the water body. So we have collected some sample there, and so we have tested the ammonia content. Basically, fish kill incident happens due to excess of ammonia. So in all possible scenario, uh, the ammonia can be there. In sewage, there is ammonia. In a fertilizer runoff, there can be in a fertilizer there is ammonia that can come into river during the monsoon period. So when it comes to the runoff, that time there is no monsoon season, so that possibility is very low. So finally, when we tested the ammonia content and other parameter, we identified that is due to sewage contamination. So ammonia content was high in that location. So that was the final outcome of that incident.
Yeah.
Raji sir,
So,
we also have one question in the chat from Harsh Shukla. What we can do here in IIM Sirmaur that will create just not a success for 1 year, but leaves a legacy?
When it comes to water conservation,
Yes, sir.
okay. So there are multiple ways to conserve water. The first thing is to reduce the water consumption. So first is the reduce the flow. So we need to adopt the system where the water consumption can be reduced. For example, water efficient fitting. In a campus, if we install the drip irrigation system for watering the plant, mostly sprinklers are used that I have majorly seen. So drip irrigation system can save up to 60% of water. And if we integrate IoT-based drip irrigation system, that can further reduce the water consumption. Mostly people install drip irrigation system in the campuses, but that is only beneficial when we know when to switch off how much we need to irrigate. If I start the drip irrigation system and if I run it for the 4 hours, then again it is of no use. So we need some sensors that can analyze the soil moisture, and that can also tell us when to switch off the irrigation. So using these techniques, we can also conserve the water because in irrigation, 80%. If I talk about the water demand of India, sector-wise water demand, 80% water goes in irrigation, almost 10% in the industrial sector, and 10% in the domestic sector. So conserving water in the irrigation will create a huge impact.
Thank you so much, sir, for that answer. I think that are all the questions that we had. So I'd like to proceed with the vote of thanks.
yeah, so we have one more question, Mukta. I received one question from the audience. So they're asking, sir, if you can, try to answer, like, what are the major challenges which usually people face and what are the possible solutions? Because solutions are, all around us, but still, people are not aware of those things. So what do you think, sir? Like even after conducting so many sessions and information is available on internet and people know about it, still there are certain things which people find it as challenges or challenging and difficult. How would you like to respond to these questions?
The first challenge when it comes to the rainwater harvesting, particularly if I talk about rainwater harvesting, the first thing is the project cost. So if I am implementing the project in my premises, and if I getting water easily from the municipality, why will I implement water harvesting at my home? So that awareness is lacking among the people. So mostly how I take this to the people. So if people have borewell in their house, I don't market initially when we started. So we don't market them that there is a water scarcity problem and मतलब देश में इतना बड़ा problem आ रहा है, शिफ्ट हमारे शहर में इतना problem है, पानी की problem आई. I just market them as a you have a borewell, your borewell water level is declining. Do you want borewell to be working for next 10 years? If yes, then implement rainwater harvesting system in your premises. The second thing is that your water is getting hard. बोरवेल का पानी टाइम के साथ हार्डनेस बढ़ता जाता है जैसे जैसे लेवल नीचे जाता है. रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग विल हेल्प यू टू मेंटेन द TDS level of the water that will put less burden on the water purifiers. This way we market them, and as of now we are quite successful.
Okay. Okay, sir. Mugdha, there is a question in the chat box. Can you read it out?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also, sir, Rahul Dev Verma is asking, which harvesting methodologies will you suggest for the small size, dense populated houses for implementation and don't make any adverse effect on the building foundation?
Yeah, so I already stated this in the presentation that for a dense house, then in urban areas where population is very dense and there is limited availability of space, so recharge to borewell is mostly recommended. And as borewell जो होता है उसमें आपका मतलब फाउंडेशन पे कोई इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता because all the casing all the water goes through the casing of the wood, so it doesn't impact the foundation of the house. So recharge to borewell is highly recommended, and working borewell can also utilize for the recharge. Just हमें इतना याद रखना है कि उसमें लोग पानी जा रहा है working borewell में, it should be well filtered. Otherwise, it will contaminate our working borewell. So that should be just noted before implementing.
Sir, before Mugdha takes over the session, I want you to please switch on your video so that we can take a group picture and for our test note.
Yeah, sure.
If that is okay with you, sir. So, sir, you can stop your PPT so that I can take everyone there in the screen. Yeah. Yes. So just let me take a picture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, over to you, Mugdha.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'd just like to proceed with the vote of thanks now. So time and time again, we realize that environment is something that has to be preserved. Nature is someone who never gives a warning. So let us all take a pledge and simply catch the rain. Thank you so much, Rajdeep sir, for covering 3 hours and explaining the process of harvesting the rain with the important intricacies involved in it. We as a UBA core team would like to give you an official vote of thanks to Mr. Rajdeep for kindling the spark of catching the rain. We thank Dr. Devika Vashisht ma'am, who is also our UBA coordinator from our institute. Moving forward, we would also like to thank Dr. Amrinder Singh, Dr. Arpita Ghosh ma'am, Dr. Parul Malik, Dr. Rinki Dahiya for their support for this call. I would also like to thank my teammates. I would like to especially thank Paras for hosting this event so wonderfully. And now to sum it up, there is a great quote by Thomas Fuller: "We never know the worth of water till the well is dry." Hence, let us all pledge to diligently save water from now on. With this, UBA closes this webinar with great learnings and huge responsibilities. Thank you all, especially the IT team and all the participants and faculty of IIM Sirmaur. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for accepting our invitation and making this session, very informative. Thank you, sir, and thank you, my student UBA team, for making this, small webinar a big success. Thank you so much. So we formally end this session here. Thank you so much for the participation.